Hey everybody, welcome to Civics. I hope that you're all having a good day so far. On this PowerPoint, I want you all to be prepared to take notes because these are going to be key terms that you're going to need to know, as well as people that really influenced our Declaration of Independence against our colonizers or our colonial founders, England. So right now, I want you to make sure you've got paper and a pencil, or if you are going to be taking notes another way, however you're going to take it. But you're definitely going to want to write these things down because the way to remember words and terms is to write them down, and that's what I would like you to do now. So I'm going to go ahead and progress. We're going to start with some common terms. Now, the road to independence for the colonies was a really big and important road. It took a long time for them to declare their independence from their colonial power. So the first thing that we are going to talk about is something called a compact. Write that down, compact. I'm not talking about the facial powder compact, or I'm not talking about a small car. Rather, I'm talking about a compact, which is a written agreement to make and obey laws. Okay, so in the next part of chapter 4, which you haven't gotten to yet, you're going to find out that a compact was used, or that was the document for the Articles of Confederation. It's a compact, a written agreement to make and obey laws. Okay? Now, a constitution, if anybody thinks of it, we always talk about we are constitutionalists. We want to make sure we stick to the Constitution. What is a constitution? A constitution is a written plan of government. So our Constitution lays out exactly what is expected, or it doesn't lay out, which allows then the judicial realm to come and adjudicate where things go. But the Constitution is a written plan for government. That's your next word. Now we have ratification. Maybe when you were reading chapter 4 and doing your worksheet, you ran into this when they explained that anything that needs to pass needs to be ratified, which is the approval of a constitution before it can be put into effect. Ratification is the agreement or the approval of a constitution before it can be put into effect. Ratification. And lastly, we have the word tariff. Now, we definitely covered this in geography. We covered it when we did our global or industrial units. And a tariff is a tax on international goods or services. So the tariff comes into play with the colonies when Parliament in England tells them they can only trade with England, and then England was going to put high tariffs on their product in a way that would allow England to collect taxes. So a tariff is a tax on international goods or services, okay? Now we're going to get on and we're going to talk about a charter. What is a charter? It's not a boat. It's not when you charter a boat to go out to sea. Rather, it's a document that gives permission to a group to create a government. So in those days of exploration and finding new lands, whether it was Spain or whether it was England, they would have a charter if they decided to start a colony. So the colonies were created under a charter of the British monarch. So they had a degree of autonomy, but if they challenged the crown or the entity of England too much, they would be forced to succumb to complete and total British control. So they had to sort of weigh that balance. So a charter is a document that gives permission to a group to create a government. So the colonies in the US were created under the British monarch. A charter, okay? So now we're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is such an important document, and we need to really review why it came about, how it came about, and what they did. And this is something that at the end of this unit, you should be very much able to tell anybody about. So a preamble is an introduction, okay? And at the end of these slides, I'm just going to go through the sections of the Declaration of Independence. It's really just 2 typed pages, and it's something that you will all need to both read and listen to. So we have a recording of Mr. Wickland reading the Declaration of Independence, and you can follow through. I'm going to be putting that up. So the preamble is an introduction. It's basically saying, well, here's the deal. When it comes to human events, it's important that everyone has freedom. The next word is grievance. Then, in the Declaration of Independence, they go on to say, okay, we believe people should have rights, and we see a whole lot of things going wrong right now with our colonial power here in the colony. So then they list their complaints, their grievances, and we're going to go through that at the end of this PowerPoint. So a grievance is a complaint. Now we're going to talk about 3 men behind the Declaration of Independence. Each of these men plays a very important part. So it's not a small thing for a colony to decide that they are going to cast their motherland away and create an independent state. But the colony, the people that lived in the colonies, they were feeling really like they did not feel they had representation in the Parliament in England, and the Parliament wanted to prevent them from trading with any other country outside of England. Obviously, there was businesses going on in the colonies. They would like to maybe trade with Spain. They might like to trade a little bit with the Caribbean countries, but they said no. And so that moved into John Locke saying no taxation without representation, right? So now what we have is we have men behind the Declaration of Independence. There are 3 you need to take note of: Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and coming up, you're going to see John Adams. So first we have Benjamin Franklin. What was he there for? He provided advice and leadership, and mostly to Thomas Jefferson, because Thomas Jefferson was a young guy. He was only 33 years old when he was chosen to write the Declaration of Independence. But Benjamin Franklin wanted to ensure that government power was not abused. He wanted to make sure there were limitations and that on a long-term basis, this would be able to balance, right? He acted as an advisor to others and was a contributor to the document. So Benjamin Franklin cannot be overlooked. So that's guy number 1. Guy number 2 is Thomas Jefferson. Now, Thomas Jefferson is clearly the most important person. Like I said, he was only 33 years old when he was chosen to write the Declaration of Independence, and he is credited as the main writer of this document. He called men's rights unalienable. These were his words, but again, this was based off of John Locke's thoughts of natural rights, which is how this came to be in our Declaration of Independence. So what does unalienable mean? It means no one can take them away from them. So in these words here, he says that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, meaning they are given these rights by God from the day that they're born. And he described our government as instituted by men. Okay? So that means that our government was created by the people and for the people. Therefore, it should be a body working for the betterment of society as a whole all of the time. And that's why Thomas Jefferson is important. Now, we also have that he explained our government becomes, if our government becomes destructive, then we have to recreate it, is basically what he says, okay? And John Adams, he's the next one. Now, he wanted to ensure that due process was followed for all people. So when we are going to review tomorrow in our live session, We're going to go over the Magna Carta, the Mayflower Compact, and the English Bill of Rights, and we're going to talk about it. You should have done the Chapter 4 worksheet, and you will have those foundation information already completed. So tomorrow when we do our live WebEx, you should definitely have your Chapter 4 worksheet so we can talk about it, okay? So John Adams, he wanted to make sure that if a crime was committed, all people get the same treatment for arrest, trial, and judgment. So that is due process. So everybody gets treated the same. And that is very important. So all the three of these men are the key people: John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the actual Declaration of Independence. This unit, I want you to be able to feel really familiar with what the Declaration of Independence is, why we have it, how it came about, and why it's important. In this letter, it's like the most epic breakup letter in history. The colonists are saying, look, we feel we have rights, and now we feel like here are the things that you've done. You have done things like obstructed the administration of justice. You have made judges dependent on England alone for the tenure of their office. He's erected, like the colonies has erected multitude of new offices. All these complaints, he says, okay, we've got all these problems. Then they say, you know, we wanted to fix this. In every stage, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. And at that point, he says, therefore, we, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these United States colonies are, and of right ought to be free and independent states, and that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and all political connections are broken. Then they signed this. So I'm going to tell you this Declaration of Independence is something you should be familiar with, and it was the foundation of us breaking away from England and becoming our own country, and it's really important. I hope to see everyone tomorrow at the live session. That's going to be on Friday, the 24th, and we're going to go over the Chapter 4 worksheet, so bring that with you. You can take notes. We're going to go over the key influences and inspirations that you did yesterday, and we will talk about the foundations of government. So I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you in the WebEx room on Friday.